Shalom, shalom, Israel. Another Bible Basics Tuesdays class. We thank you guys for tuning in online, Facebook Live. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Most importantly, please share this message. Share right now so the word can get out to the Israelites scattered abroad. The name of today's message or lesson is No Such Thing as Mixed. Okay? There's no such thing as being mixed or biracial. Today, I'm your teacher, Banaya Sharala. To my left is
Aman Allah, I'll be reading.
And we'll get right to it. So we know that this term within itself was created by our oppressors to cause us to sin by defiling ourselves amongst the other nations because of our lack of knowledge and understanding regarding this topic right here. America tells you, you know what? The United States is the land of the free, the home of the brave. All the opportunity is here. It's a great melting pot, right? We must remember that we're mixed amongst the nations. And as difficult as it is, we must stay to ourselves as a people, okay? First off, let's get 1 Chronicles 9:1. So let's establish that in the scriptures real quick. 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 1. Okay, and it's proof of what your father is according to the Bible. You are the seed of your father, all right? Get that up.
1 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse 1. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies.
Right.
And behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgression.
Right, so it says Israel was reckoned by genealogy. Let's go into detail as far as how, okay? Go to Numbers. Numbers chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to start at 1 and 2 for context, then drop down to 18 real quick.
Book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt,
And
saying,
what did he say?
Saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male to their polls.
So the Most High, through Moses, he said, you know what? Let me take a quick census. Let's number the people. That's what he was doing. And we come to find out in verse 2 that guess what? The children of Israel, after the house of their fathers, were reckoned by genealogy. Drop down to verse 18.
Verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
Of who?
By the house of their fathers,
Uh-huh.
according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls.
So, in context, the brothers that were 20 years old and upward, their pedigree was reckoned after the house of their fathers, okay? Another word for pedigree is your lineage or your bloodline, okay? So we go by the seed of our fathers, not what your mother is. It doesn't matter what your mother is, okay? We got to remember there's no such thing as being mixed or biracial. You are what your father is. Now let's get a couple instances in the scriptures. We're going to deal with Brother Moses, Moshe. Let's get Exodus 18 real quick. 18, 1 through 4.
The book of Exodus, chapter 18, and verse 1. When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back.
So we got out the scriptures. Moses had a wife named Zipporah. Continue.
And her two sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land.
So the first name of the first son, the eldest son, was Gershom. He was the firstborn. Read.
And the name of the other was Eleazar, for God For the God of my father said he was mine help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh.
Right, so that's all I need. They had two sons. Gershom was the firstborn. Eliezer was the secondborn. Okay, but let's see in Numbers 12 what the nationality of Zipporah was. Was she an Israelite or was she a heathen? Let's see. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1.
Book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 1.
Read.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
Right, so she was a Cushite or an Ethiopian. Okay, that's not an Israelite. So Moses married Zipporah, the mother of his two sons. She was a Cushite or an Ethiopian. That is not an Israelite. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get Exodus 2 and 1. And let's see what Moses was. We're going to prove everything out of the scriptures, all right? Exodus 2 and 1.
Book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi.
So this is speaking about Moses' parents, all right? Without naming who they are, verse 2, Exodus 2 and 1 is saying, guess what? Both of his parents were Levites, okay? And we know to be a Levite, you have to be a son of Jacob, right?
All right.
So drop down to verse 11.
Verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he had went out unto his brethren and looked on their burden. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren.
So Moses was grown, okay? He went out to the streets, okay? He saw one of his brethren, which is a Hebrew, that was squabbing or having a fight with an Egyptian because Moses grew up in Egypt. Continue.
Verse 12. And he looked this way and that way.
He looked this way and that way, right? Read.
And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
So Moses the Hebrew, he slew the Egyptian that was fighting another of his Hebrew brethren, right? Okay, and then he buried him in the sand. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow?
Right, so word got around fast. He came out the next day, and he saw two Hebrews fighting one another. He got the attention of one of the Hebrews, and he said, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? So he's saying, basically, are you going to kill me, one of your brothers, like you did the Egyptian? Go ahead, verse 14.
And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killed the Egyptian?
Uh-huh.
And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known.
Right, surely this thing is known. Word spread very, very fast that Moses put in that work, all right? And he came to the aid of his brethren against the Egyptian, all right? Let's get Exodus 4 and 14 real quick. So we see that Moses was a Levite, but if you're still unsure, let's get Exodus 4 and 14.
Exodus chapter 4 and 14.
Read.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, is not Aaron Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart.
Right, because Aaron was Moses' help and his aid. Moses didn't have very good speech when speaking with the people. So the Most High made sure his brother Aaron was there to assist him in all forms and fashions, right? But the key that I need out of this verse is not Aaron, the Levite, thy brother. So that was his literal brother, okay? And that's what we got to understand. So Moses is indeed a Hebrew, a Levite, which is the son of Jacob, okay? So now that we know that Zipporah is a Cushite or Ethiopian, Moses' wife, we know Moses is the son of Levite, right, which is the son of Jacob. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 23 and 14. First Chronicles 23 and 14.
First Chronicles 23:14 says, "Now concerning Moses, the man of God, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi."
Right.
The sons of Moses were Gershon and Eleazar.
Right. Very, very clear and to the point right there. So Moses was a Levite, and so were his sons. And that's the point of the message that we're getting into. There's no such thing as mixed. You are what your father is, okay? All right, so moving on. That was proof Moses' two sons were both Levites, although Moses was married to Zipporah, who was a Cushite, which is an Ethiopian, okay? Let's get another instance out of the scripture. So that's one instance. Give me 1 Kings 14 and 21. Let's get one more. We're going to deal with the son of King Solomon, which is Rehoboam, real quick.
1 Kings 14 and verse 21. And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah.
Right. So to reign in Judah, you have to be of the lineage, okay? You can't be a foreigner or a Gentile, a heathen, or a man of another nation, okay? To be an Israelite king, whether it's the southern kingdom or the northern kingdom, you have to be of one of the sons of Jacob, okay? Go ahead.
Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there.
Okay.
And his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess.
Okay. Rehoboam's mother name was what, Ak?
Was Naamah,
And what was she?
and she was an Ammonitess.
Okay, and Ammonitis is a so-called Japanese, according to the Bible. Okay, so we see here the second instance in the scriptures where we have the son of King Solomon, Rehoboam, who was the first king of the southern kingdom. All right, his mother was a so-called Japanese or an Ammonitis. Okay. So here again, we have another instance of an Israelite father and a heathen mother, okay? A mother of another nation. All right, give me 1 Kings 12 and 17 real quick. Couple chapters back, okay?
1 Kings 12 and 17.
Read.
But as for the children of Israel, which dwell in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them.
So he reigned over the children of Israel, just to reiterate the fact that guess what? You have to be of the lineage to be a king. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to go back to Numbers 1 again, just to hammer the point home for those who may have tuned in late. Okay, there's no such thing as mixed. You are what your father is. Okay, you are the seed of your father, the lineage or bloodline of your father.
Numbers 1 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers.
By the house of their mothers?
By the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male to their poll.
By the house of their fathers. 18 real quick.
Verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls.
So we got it. By the house of their fathers. So it's very, very important that when you're dealing with Israelites and trying to find out different nationalities, and you're at work and you're looking at people as they go to and fro on an everyday basis, you may be on a train, you may be on a bus, you may be getting a ride from a coworker or whatever it is, okay? Sometimes you are able to look at somebody and tell what their nationality is. You know, that's a 50-50 chance, but guess what? There's a lot of the times where you may be wrong, you know? And that's why it's good to have a conversation. Ask people what their grandfather was, okay? And then when you know what their grandfather is, you got a good idea of what their father is. You see what I'm saying? But these are questions that I ask people because you don't want to assume. Because a lot of Gentiles or heathens of the other nations look like Israelites. Okay? And vice versa. There's a lot of Israelites that look like Gentiles or heathens. A lot of our people also favor the other nations because you don't know what their father is or you don't know what their mother is. Okay? So you don't want to judge. All right? So let's go to the PowerPoint real quick. And we're going to go through a couple of instances. Appreciate it. Anybody familiar with these two young ladies? Okay, these are twin actresses, Tia and Tamara Mowry. That's their name. Okay. Does anybody want to take a guess what their nationality is? Okay, Edomite. We got a couple brothers in here that actually know what's going on. But if you just judge a book by its cover and you don't know anything about the scriptures, a lot of people will guess that what? They will say that they're black. Or what? Mixed or biracial. Okay, so this is what we got to understand. Why? Because they play on a lot of black shows, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? When you turn on the television, they're in our radar as a black nation. This, you see Tia and Tamara, you might stop and look at the show. You know what I'm saying? By the way, does anybody know what show they star on or Sister? Okay. Anything else? Or is that what they're known for? You said what? Witches? Twitches? Okay. So we got Sister, Twitches. All right. So now let's move on. Let's get the proof. How do I go to the next one? Right here, right? Now, there we go. Let's look at the parents of Tia and Tamara. Let's get the proof. Tia and Tamara Mowry. What's the father's name, Ot?
Timothy Mowry.
What is Timothy, Ot?
Timothy is an Edomite.
Right, he's an Edomite. Okay. And what's the mother's name?
The mother is Darlene Mowry.
Darlene Mowry. Okay. So I don't know if that's Tia or Tamara right there in the middle, but nevertheless, those are the parents. I looked it up, and the proof is right there in the pudding. Okay. The dad is an Edomite. Okay. And the mother is an Israelite. So, question, sis. What does that make Tia and Tamara? They are Edomites according to the Bible. It doesn't matter how much they resemble Israel. You see what I'm saying? They could be standing in a line amongst 9 or 10 other Israelite women and blend in and pass for an Israelite. But they're not an Israelite. They're an Edomite. Okay? You got a question? Go ahead. Right. We went over 2 instances. Moses, his wife, was not an Israelite. She was a Cushite or a Ethiopian. So let me try to simplify this. Are you asking? Let's go back to the slide. Okay, so would you be asking if the mother or the children? What are you saying? Can they get salvation? Is that what you're asking? Right. Well, no, the kids will be able to benefit off of that. So if Tia or Tamara decided to marry an Israelite man, then their children will be eligible for salvation, like us. As far as Tia or Tamara, their ultimate end is, destruction. You know what I'm saying? That's just according to the scriptures. Right. Right. Yeah, it's already written. Yeah, it's the Most High knows. So, Not to go off topic too much, but that's why we have the book as a spiritual guide. Because you're right, there are people who don't know who their parents are. They've been put in child protective services. Parents might have got killed, never met them. So we're gonna go by the spirit with them. Do you see what I'm saying? And you and I can talk about that later after class. And I'm not gonna forget. Okay. So yeah, Tia and Tamara, their best situation is slavery according to the Bible in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, being a bond woman or a bond maid to the elect of Israel. That's the best that could happen. Okay? And even ultimately after that, they're going to be destroyed. You know, they have 1,000 years of servitude in the kingdom, and that's it. This race has to be wiped out, okay? All right, so let's move on. Let's get another one. Anybody familiar with her right here? Right, there you go. Actress Tracy Ellis Ross. What does she star in? Does anybody know of the... She's done a lot of work, right, in the movie and TV industry. Nevertheless, I know a lot of Israel. I know you know. I haven't followed her like that. But what does she look like? She looks like an Israelite, right? Right? You stand her up amongst 9 other Israelite women. You would almost say, hey, she's black. She's an Israelite, right? Well, not so fast. Let's get it. There we go right there. Go ahead and read that for me, all right?
Parents of actress Tracy Ellis Ross. Father is Robert Ellis Silberstein.
Oh, what's that last name again?
Silberstein.
That last name right there is related to Amalek, the head tribe of who? The fake Jews. Okay? And this is what a lot of Jewish people do when they come in the industry. They take off that Jewish last name and take on the last name of the mother. You see what I'm saying? Why? To appeal to us as Israelites, so we can go watch their movies and watch their shows. You see what I'm saying? This is Esau trying to hide himself. Okay? Because she should really be taking on the last name of her what?
Father.
Her father. Right? But what did she do instead? She took on the last name of her mother, which is actually an Israelite. Okay? So everybody knows who her mother is. Who is that?
Diana Ross.
Everybody knows Diana Ross is an Israelite off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, but for career sake, she said, you know what? Let me take off the Silberstein because I don't want the people to know that I'm actually the devil according to the Bible. You see what I'm saying? That's my lineage. I won't be able to bankroll on the black community. You see what I'm saying? This is the move that Esau pulls. So now we know we got 2 witnesses, okay? Right? So let's go to the next thing. And again, the same thing. If you stand her up, you know, amongst any number of Israelite women, and you assume, and you're not going off the scriptures, you will for dang sure say, you know what? That is an Israelite. You know, because she has a little bit of Israelite blood in her, but she's an Edomite at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So they know how to jive and act with us and shoot the breeze. You know, they have some Israelite tendencies. But according to the Bible, it's the seed of your father. You are what your father is. She is not biracial or mixed because that term is made up by our oppressors. Okay? And the Bible does not substantiate being biracial or mixed. All right, let's move on. Let's get that. So the Bible tells us what?
Do not mix the holy seed with strangers.
You understand that, sis? You are not to have children or any relations at all with men of other nations. Okay? We're supposed to stay with our own people, our own tribes, okay? Our own lineage and our own bloodline. So give me Deuteronomy 7 and 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
So you're dealing with African Hamite nations, all right? These are different tribes and families of so-called Africans, okay? You got me? Okay, go ahead and read.
Verse 2, and when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them.
Thou should do what?
Thou shalt smite them,
Okay, you should beat and kill them, read.
and utterly destroy them.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them,
No, can I marry one?
no covenant with them,
Read.
nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son,
So don't have a daughter and give your daughter to one of the other nations. Read.
nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
And if you have a son and another Gentile heathen wants to marry his daughter to your son, don't do that either. Verse 4.
For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods,
That what may happen?
that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
See, because that's the spiritual consequence. You see what I'm saying? It has to do everything with the spirit. Okay? The spirit of these people will automatically go after their gods. Okay? So if you decided to be with an Arab, guess what? He's going to be pushing Allah on you. Okay? He's going to be pushing Prophet Muhammad on you. Okay? You trying to do the Sabbath and be an Israelite and, you know, be modest and do the things of the scripture. Guess what? He's going to be teaching you and your kids the opposite. Okay? So there's going to be a spiritual conflict. All right? Got that? Let's get the next scripture.
First Ezra chapter 8 and verse 68.
Read.
Let me get there. 8 and verse 68 says, Now when these things were done, the rulers came unto me and said, The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and the Levites,
The leaders, all the leaders of Israel, the elect men, okay? And the Levites and the priests, read.
have not put away from them the strange people of the land.
So these other nations, they strange. That's what the Most High called them. You see what I'm saying? Read.
Nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Edomites.
Ooh, now you got the Edomites right there, just in case somebody didn't hear it in Deuteronomy. So he said, he said, don't even be with the Edomites. The Egyptians, the Moabites are Chinese people. Okay? So neither deal with them. But go ahead, verse 70.
For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land.
Say that part again.
And the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity.
So at this point in time in history, guess what? Our leaders were doing this. Okay? So when we have our leaders doing this, guess what the people are going to do? They're going to follow the leaders. So, you know, our nation is not in a good standing. If we were to do that now while we're trying to get salvation, the whole nation would be jacked up. What would that look like? We would look like the Christian church, right? Come one, come all. And that's not what we're doing right here in these last days. They're not going to help us get salvation. They're not going to benefit in us trying to keep the commandments and endure to the end. Okay? Let's get the next one. Just to let you know, Esdras is Ezra. Okay? The same prophet. So, let me see. Whenever you're ready,
Ezra chapter 10 and verses 1 through 4. Again, that's Ezra chapter 10, verse 1. Now when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down before the house of God, there assembled unto him out of Israel a very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore.
Hey, You can put it back on us right now. Okay, go ahead.
And Shechaniah, the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, and answered and said unto Ezra, we have trespassed against our God.
We have trespassed against our God. Trespass means sinned. This is a sin to mix with the other nations. Okay? All right? In the book of Nehemiah and Ezra, our people finally made a decree. Okay? That, you know what? We're not going to do this anymore. Okay? Because in the past, you know, you saw Moses, you saw Rehoboam. We used to do these things. But at this point now in history, it's a no-go. All up until now, right? You know what I mean? It's a no-go. There's no reason for us to mix with the nations anymore at all. Now, there was a specific case when the Most High was dealing with Samson. Yeah. That was way before this. But I'm just giving an example where the Most High wanted to take out the Philistines. So he instructed Samson to deal with the woman of the Philistines to kind of infiltrate them. Do you see what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, she a heathen. But the Most High had something up his sleeve. Remember? Isaiah 55, he said, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. So the Most High, he had a trick up his sleeve, and he said, you know what? I'm going to use Samson. Even Samson warned, the parents of Samson warned Samson, you're supposed to take a woman of your own nation. But it was the Most High's plan in that particular instance, okay? And then he went on to kill 3,000 right at the end when he knocked the pillars of the temple down or whatever.
Yeah, they were in it.
And then before then, he killed another 1,000 plus with the jawbone of an ass, okay, while he was living. So ultimately, the Philistine woman, she tricked him and ended up cutting his hair. That was his power, the length of his hair. Okay? So I just wanted to give you a quick history on that. But moving on, from Ezra, Nehemiah, they made a commitment to the Most High, and we shouldn't be doing that at all. From then up until now, okay? All right? No mixing nothing. Okay? So go ahead.
The last two verses in that Ezra chapter 10. Verse 3, now therefore let us make a covenant with our God to put away all the wives.
So here it is right here. Now, in Ezra and Nehemiah, we're going to make a covenant, okay? A covenant is like a promise. We're making a promise to the Most High, okay? Read.
To put away all the wives and such are as born of them.
To put away all the wives of the heathen. Okay, so you had Levites and leaders and priests and things of that nature. All of them left their wives at this time in the Bible. And that's the same thing that brothers and sisters got to do nowadays if you're in that situation, which is a hard thing to do. But if you're an Israelite and you're in that kind of situation, guess what? The Most High is testing your faith to see how much you actually love him. So if you're not in that instance, you know, all praises to the Most High. If you are in that instance, I pray for you. Because now, you know, the Most High is throwing it out there. You know what I'm saying? He actually wants to see if you love him or if you love that Gentile heathen. Okay? Go ahead.
To put away all the wives and such as are born of them, according to the counsel of my Lord, and of those that tremble at the commandment of our Lord. And let it be done according to the law.
And let it be done according to the law, like it was written in Deuteronomy 7, 1 through 4. Okay? Read verse 4.
And verse 4, arise, for this matter belongeth unto thee. We also will be with thee. Be of good courage, and do it.
So Ezra said, you know what? Arise. I'm giving my brothers confidence. You can do this. You can shake that Edomite. You can get out. You feel what I'm saying? You got to do it, brothers. Ezra is cheerleading his brothers on. You know, he said, be of good courage and do it. So that's what you Israelites, you know, must do that are coming into the faith. at this time and point. So let's get Nehemiah 13 and 23.
Nehemiah chapter 13 and 21.
23.
Excuse me, 23. In those days also I saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and of Ammon and of Moab.
See, these are Jews. We're Jews. Brothers marrying wives of other nations, right? Chinese, Japanese, the whole nine. Read.
And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people.
So doesn't that sound a little bit like today? I gave you an example of that earlier. If you were married to, say you were married to a Turkish man, he would have you speaking, he would have your child, whether it be son or daughter, he would be teaching them the Turkish language, and you would be trying to teach them Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? That's a conflict right there, right? And that's where the problems come in when you deal with these situations where you have an Israelite on one side, whether it be a husband or a wife, okay, and a heathen on the other side, because it's spiritual enmity. That's just how the Most High made it, okay? It's never going to work out. All right, go ahead.
Verse 25, and I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons.
So Nehemiah is so frustrated, he started cussing, pulling people's hair out, getting down, ready to fight for the laws of the Most High. Go ahead.
Or for yourselves. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things?
Read that again.
Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things?
You was here for that message that night when we talked about the kingdom split. What happened? This is why the kingdom split, because of Solomon's sin. He dealt with women of other nations, right? And they turned his heart away from the Most High. And he started worshiping the gods of the other nations. That's why. Go ahead.
Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin.
Because the other women of the other nations are outlandish. They have no spiritual or moral compass when it comes to these laws and commandments. Okay? So there it is at the end of the day. And we must still admit in verse 26 that, Solomon is still King Solomon. Okay? That doesn't take any lackluster away from his effort as a king of Israel. Okay? We're not going to throw him over the bus for this one thing, but, the Most High still loved him. So let's get 27.
Verse 27.
And this is a question for all of Israel. Okay? Men and women who are dealing with, men or women of the other nations. Go ahead.
Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil?
See, and that's the question that's posed right here. Shall we then hearken or listen unto you to do all this great evil? The Most High called this a sin and he called it evil. Continue, brother.
To transgress against our God and marrying strange wives.
There it is right there. And that's the question that I'm posing to you out there in the Facebook world. Okay? All right, so let's move on. Now that we got a good understanding, we're going to move on. And let's go back to the PowerPoint, my brother Angel. There we go. Who is this guy right here? Blake Griffin. All right. This used to be one of my favorite players, man. This brother got boosties. You know what I'm saying? He'll dunk on you. I don't want to go off topic, but, I'm a basketball fan. But nevertheless, let's stick to the message. What's his nationality? What does he look like? Before we ask what his nationality, just to the eyes, what do he look like, my brother, your guy? He look like he a dang on Edomite, right? You look at his complexion. You look at the texture of his hair. A lot of our destroyed women, what they gonna say about his hair? He got good hair. My brother Porter, you hear me? He got that good hair. That's stuff we used to say. I used to say that about other, women of other nations. Oh, she got that good hair. Not even knowing that, guess what? The hair of our women is the best hair. But look, let's figure this out. So he looks like an Israelite, but in fact, he's Salakia. He looks like an Edomite, but in fact, he's an Israelite. So let's get the proof. Bam, read that.
Parents of Blake Griffin. Father, Tommy Griffin. Mother, Gail Griffin.
So what does Gail look like over there, sis? Gail look like she's from hell. Okay? Gail is a doggone Edomite. And guess what? The cool thing about this is usually the Israelite has the dominant features. You see what I'm saying? But he took on the features and skin tone of mostly his mother. She has strong Edomite slave master genes. You see what I'm saying? But my brother Tommy over there, he's an Israelite. So what does that make Blake? He's an Israelite. Why? Because you are what your father is. You are the seed of your father. Period. It doesn't matter what you look like, okay? Because we can line Blake Griffin up with 9 Edomite men, okay? And he might fit the mold. We might be like, well, damn, those are all white men. You know what I'm saying? Question. Right. Yeah, Haitian, We know our Haitian brothers and sisters, they Israelites off the rip. They suffering the curses, right? Yeah. Our Jamaican brothers, Haiti brothers, Dominican brothers, all those island brothers, much respect and love to my brothers. They are indeed Israelites, okay? But, look at her, man. Look at Gail. So let's get one more instance. Because we got to prove all things according to the Bible. Who is that? Any of my brothers know who that is? This dude he's the NFL quarterback that just won the Super Bowl this past year. I think at 24 years old. Go ahead and say his name, brother.
Patrick Mahomes the second.
Patrick Mahomes the second. His dad was actually a baseball player. Okay? His name was Pat Mahomes. Okay? What does he look like? If you just go with an eye test, what does he look like? He looked like an Edomite too. Or a lot of our destroyed people will say, well, he's mixed. He either look white or he look mixed, right? But the Bible says there's no such thing as mixed. There's no such thing as biracial. So let's get the proof. What exactly is he? Bing. There it is right there. Go ahead and read that.
Parents of NFL quarterback Patrick Mahomes. The father is Pat Mahomes, and the mother is Randy Martin.
So Randy Martin, that's his mother, a Edomite, right? But what actually is he according to the Bible, Steve? He an Israelite because he the seed of his father. Okay? So now we got that good understanding. All praises to the Heavenly Father. Bam. So back to you, back to us, please. I'm going to read. Go ahead and give me Tobit. You know what? Before you do that, give me Luke 3:23. I want to use that as a marker or an indicator as far as the seed of the man, okay? When you're dealing with the lineages in this Bible, you're always dealing from man to man. It says begat. The father begat, even though the woman actually delivered the baby, because the seed is from what? The man. You know what I'm saying? Another word for seed in this context is sperm. Okay? So I guess you could just read 2 or 3 verses.
Luke 3 and verse 23. And Yahushua himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli.
Right, being as was supposed the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli, or Heli. Khan, go ahead and read.
Which was the son of Mathat, which was the son of Levi, which was the son of Melchi, which was the son of Janah, which was the son of Joseph.
Read 25.
Which was the son of Mattathias, which was the son of Amos, which was the son of Nahum, which was the son of Esli, which was the son of Nagi.
Now let's drop down all the way to the bottom.
Khan, it's a lot of sons.
Right.
Fathers.
38.
30, yes, verse 38. Continuing the genealogy, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God.
So now, when you look at verse 38 and you reverse and try to read it backwards, you start off with the Most High God. And then you see Adam. And then you see Seth. And then you see Enos. And so on and so forth from verse 38, 37, all the way back to verse 23. We're dealing with men only. You see what I'm saying? All right? So I just wanted to point that out. And specifically, these are the sons of God, meaning they did right in the eyes of the Most High. How do we know that? Because Adam and Eve had another son. His name was Cain. But Cain isn't mentioned here. All right? So we got Seth and Enos, the other 2 sons. You see what I'm saying? So that's just another little sidebar. Not to be distracted, though. So now let's go to Tobit 4. Tobit 4 and 12. Let's put the nail in the coffin. What are we supposed to do? Who are we supposed to marry? Let's look to the scriptures and get that edification. Tobit 4, 12 and 13.
The book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 12.
Read.
Beware of all whoredom, my son,
Uh-huh.
and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife.
Okay, stop right there. So it's always addressing the men, right?
Right.
Say my son, right? But it's talking to you daughters of Zion as well. Okay? It's talking to you women as well. So it's telling the men not to take a wife of the other nations, but it's actually speaking to you women also. Do not take a husband of the other nations. Okay? Read.
Which is not of thy father's tribe, for we are the children of the prophets, Noah.
Whoa, slow up. Tell them why again, Ak?
For we are the children of the prophets.
We are the children of the prophets. We got a holy lineage. The Most High chose us out of all the nations. Deuteronomy 7 and 6 said we above all people up on the face of the earth. That's why. Are you going to mix water with oil? No. Give me something else disgusting that just doesn't mix. Are you going to mix peanut butter and mayonnaise? You know what I'm saying? But you get the idea. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to mix the unclean and the clean together, man. So start that again. Not from the top, but for we are
the children of the prophets.
That's a special thing. Read.
Noah,
Abraham,
Isaac, and Jacob.
The seed of promise, that lineage. That's our lineage right there. It's special. Read.
Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land.
And were blessed in their children, right? And their seed shall inherit the land. What land? The promised land, New Jerusalem, the kingdom of heaven, rulership. You see what I'm saying? That's that land that we're trying to endure to get to. But give me verse 13.
Now, therefore, my son,
not only you sons of Israel, but you daughters. Read.
Therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and the daughters of thy people, and not taking a wife for them.
Ooh, Ooh, that's heavy right there. What is the scripture saying? Don't hate yourself or hate your brothers by going outside of your holy lineage and still being disobedient and rebellious and marrying a Kim Kardashian. Okay? Don't do that. You see the condition that Kanye is in. That brother going through hell. He's cursed. They trying to put spells and witchcraft on that brother, man. And ultimately take his what? His $1 billion assets, his money and all his property. That's what they trying to do. Okay? But go ahead. That's a whole nother story. Read.
For in pride is destruction and much trouble.
Look, the Most High, he likened that to being prideful. And what does the scripture say about pride?
Goes before destruction.
Pride goes before destruction. You see what I'm saying? But read.
Destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want.
Man, that's filthy right there. But read.
For lewdness is the mother of famine.
So we got the understanding, right? We got the understanding how the Most High feels about this, right? Lewdness is nakedness. Nakedness is, in the scriptures, is sin when you're not clothed with righteousness. Okay? Okay, because the Bible's speaking allegories. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So, back to the PowerPoint. So read that for me, Yacht.
There is no such thing as mixed or biracial in the Bible. You are what your father is. You are the seed of your father.
So I repeated that a few times during this lesson just to hammer it home, to get it in your spirits. Okay? Most Israelites know and understand this, but there's always new Israelites coming to the fold. Okay? And this is for those who don't have understanding. Hopefully this helps somebody. Okay? Let's get Ezra 2. Wait, before we do that, I forgot to ask you, did you have anything that you want to, because these are going to be my last two precepts. So did you want to?
No, I mean,
Bring it out. Whatever. Go ahead. It's important.
Just as a
That might help her because I know that's where she was going.
yeah, Bania pretty much nailed the hammer on the head for, I mean, just the basic building blocks of, how we distinguish, who's an Israelite. It's by your fathers. Now, some of the problems in, I believe, in false doctrines that you see in Facebook land and in us dealing just in, in our waking lives at work, on the street, whomever, not necessarily knowing who is Israel or not knowing who's not Israel, we're posed with the question of, because in our captivity we have mixed race, we're not mixed, but we have mixed our holy seed with the other nations and taking upon the appearance of them, being either on both the father's side of a heathen or the father's side of being Israel. So one of the things that, as Bania said, that we have to do is, we have to conversate and gather evidence as well too. So the pictures and stuff like that, knowing who you are up to the grandfather is good evidence. But even Paul himself said too, he said, give not, he's, no, about the endless genealogies.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul said, a matter of fact, I should know exactly what it is. It should be in Romans. The book of Romans. We can get there real quick. Yeah, I think that's in Romans, but I can summarize it.
Let me get it for you. Let's get it for. I got it right here in Timothy.
Timothy, okay.
Go ahead. I'll read it for you.
Thank you.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 4.
Yes, sir.
And it reads, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do.
So, with that being said, because of the endless genealogies and us not having the documentations like how we used to with our fathers and our fathers' houses, our particular tribes, even and our records, we have to we have to play pretty much by orientation when we deal with people. We got to try the spirit by the spirit. We got to see if people that not only claim to be so-called, black or Latino anymore, but Israelites of many different shades of brown and hair textures and, appearances. What has to be done is they have to be tested according to the righteousness that is the law, which is it's not a short-term process. It is a long-term process, because even those who are Israel, mistakes may be made short-termly to the enduring to the end. So it's a very long-suffering process. But between that and then as well as knowing that the Most High is dealing with our particular people in a certain way, we can actually go to one of the prophets. The Most High said He will pour out His Spirit upon our people in these last days, and our old men would have visions, and the young men would dream dreams. So that's another aspect as well too of how we distinguish who Israel is, because the Most High is not pouring out these visions and these dreams upon the other nations that deal with the revelations of who he chose to wake up as Israelites. He's not dealing with the other nations like that. But let me find that scripture for you real quick, just to give you that precept and not just be talking, Thank you. Joel 2:28. Yes, sir.
So I'll read that for you.
Yes, sir.
That brother came with it, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, the book of Joel. You want 27 too, or just 28?
You can, if you know it's in better context, because I haven't gotten there yet. Please, read it in as much context as you can get.
Okay, I believe the context in 27 is good.
Okay.
Joel 2:27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed.
My bad. Yeah, His people will never be ashamed. And this is what the Most High says: I'm going to be in the midst of you, and this is what I'm going to do for you and to you. And you can read on.
Verse 28, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions.
So that's a matter of fact what the Most High is, as He is dealing with our people. So that's part of when we have situations with people like Blake Griffin, when we have people like if you guys know, he's from Hawthorne, Kuko. He's like an R&B hip hop artist. He's a young cat. Mm-hmm. When you have people like that, they may not look necessarily as historically as we find as Israelites, because we know through archaeology on bas reliefs, Israelites, and according to scriptures, were darker skinned people, darker brown skinned people, as well as a particular hair texture. But when we have this situation where we're at in 2020 going into 21, that's one of the ways that we try the spirit by the spirit, the curses of Deuteronomy 28, and as well as those visions and those dreams that any of our people that are desperately searching for the Most High for, and come to any other knowledgeable, wise Israelite and seeking out the truth. And these are part of their testimonies. These are some of the things that we know, that we prove to who our people are. That was pretty much it. The spiritual aspect, Bonnie covered a good very amazing part of the fleshly aspect, but it's in tandem because, again, not even all Israel is Israel too.
Man, beautiful. Well said. And you know what? That drives me. I'm inspired to bring out a quick 4 precepts
Yes.
to add on to the spiritual aspect. So our people can get the full understanding. This will also answer your question. And when we're done, you won't have any more questions. So we're going to continue with the spiritual aspect. Asking those questions. Hey, what's your grandmother? What's your grandfather? What's your great grandfather? What's your father? Oh, you don't know? So what if you encounter somebody you don't know? They have no idea what their lineage is, what their bloodline is. They say, you know what? I want to serve God. What do we do from there? Let's see. We start with what he said, but then these 4 precepts are very, very important. Okay? Let's get let's start with Romans 8 and 16. Let's start with Romans 8 and 16.
The book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 16.
Give me one quick second.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, I'm ready now.
All right, 8 and 16.
Listen close, sis. Read.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
See, and that's what happened to all of us. At the end of the day, even though we are indeed Israelites, we know from the physical aspect. I know my great-great-grandfather is an Israelite. Okay, he may have came over on a slave ship. Okay, I know my grandfather is. I know my dad is off the rip. I'm good. Okay, but what about those people who don't know? Read it again.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
So the Spirit of the Most High God and your spirit is going to bear witness. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's how we're going to start. Okay, now let's get John 6:63. Let's stay in the spirit.
Got you. The book of John, chapter 6 and verse 63.
Read.
It is the Spirit that quickeneth.
Woo, read that again.
It is the Spirit that quickeneth.
It's the Spirit that quickeneth. It's the Spirit that confirms that you're an Israelite. To quicken means to make alive.
All right.
You see what I'm saying? Read.
The flesh profiteth nothing.
The flesh profited nothing. And what does that mean? We already gave you good examples.
All right.
It's easy to look and say, oh, he an Israelite, but we could make some mistakes. And that slideshow that I showed you with all those different comparisons with Israelites looking like Gentiles and Gentiles looking like Israelites, right? So the flesh profited nothing in that aspect of trying to assume. But read.
The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
But at the end of the day, when this Bible resonate, every word that's written in this Bible, it's not just a normal book. This is a book of prophecy, and these words are alive. And the more you're in the truth, you know and understand that, dang, if I break these commandments, if I do this, dang, judgment came on me. The Most High got me. Because he's going to prove these words even as, no matter how long you've been in the truth. Okay? Whether you're in your first year or whether you're in year 11. Okay? Give me John 10 and 27.
The book of John, chapter 10 and verse 27.
Read.
My sheep hear my voice.
Woo, who is the sheep? The children of Israel that's scattered abroad. No other nation is considered as the sheep. Okay, read that again.
My sheep hear my voice.
And what?
And I know them.
Uh-huh.
And they follow me.
See? So Yahushua Christ, he knows who he's coming to get. Because the Father already gave them to him.
All right.
Okay? He said, look, they know my voice. And they follow my voice, which they mean what? The ones that keep the commandments. Okay? Now let's top it off. Let's top it off with 2 Ezra 3 and 36. Let's put the nail in the coffin. As far as understanding the spiritual aspect, 2 Ezra 3 and
36?
Yeah, give me 32 and then 36.
Con. 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 32. Or is there any other people that knoweth thee beside Israel?
And that's the question. But what's the answer to that question? No, there's no other people or no other nations in the earth that know the Most High besides Israel. Read.
Or what generation has so believed thy covenants as Jacob?
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the descendants, Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and all of us after that. Okay? We believe the covenants. But read 36. Listen very close. Read.
Verse 36. Thou shalt find that Israel by name hath kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
Did you get that, sister? Read that again.
Thou shalt find that Israel by name.
Stop. You gonna know and understand. You gonna find out that Israel by name, read,
hath kept thy precepts.
What is the precepts? These scriptures and these commandments. Israel is gonna keep these precepts and commandments. But what?
But not the heathen.
But not the heathen. That there it is right there, sis. Let's go to the PowerPoint, brother. So hopefully, did that clear up the spiritual aspect?
It definitely clears up the whole spiritual aspect. So from the curses in Deuteronomy to, the Most High putting those visions and dreams on our people. That's why it's important. And Christ said, "Lo, I come in the volume of the book." If you don't want to get played, by people that are not, they might not be knowing what they're teaching, you got to know these scriptures because it's from front to back, no different than Bania just saying. It wasn't in the law particularly that we agreed not to marry the heathen, but it came later in the history in the time of Nehemiah that we decided we're not doing this no more. Lo, I come in the volume of the book, says Yahushua.
Beautiful. Ezra chapter 2, verse 59.
Ezra chapter 2 and verse 59 says, one page back. And these were they which went up from Temelah, Telharsa, Cherub, Adadan, and Immer, but they could not show their father's house.
They could not show the lineage of their father. Right? Because these were brothers and sisters going back to the land. Right? We were always persecuted, kicked out the land, and then we would go back. But you had to register. Who are you? So now that we don't have our records today, there's no records that you can pull out and say, here, I'm an Israelite. The birth certificate that the United States has given us doesn't show. That's not a real record of who you were before slavery, right? Okay. So go ahead.
Could not show their father's house and their seed whether they were of Israel.
So they couldn't show their father's house or their seed or whether you look, man, who is your daddy? That's what he's saying right here. You couldn't just say it back then. You had to show your records. Okay? But drop down to 62.
Verse 62. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found.
They sought to register, okay, and see who they were according to genealogy by the what? The house of their fathers. But read it.
But they were not found.
We don't know who you are. We can't find you. We don't have the record that your father is an Israelite. Read.
Therefore were they as polluted out from the priesthood.
Right. So even dealing with the priesthood, meaning the Levites, the Levites used to teach the Israelites, okay? The Levites were scattered amongst all the tribes, okay? And they were the teachers of Israel, the whole nation. We had to give them tithes, and for us giving them tithes, okay, they gave us the word, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? So let's get the last precept. What part?
He was basically talking about the Levites are they're doing their service, the Levites.
Oh yeah. Right. They didn't have regular working jobs. Their job was to feed the flock, which is what we're doing right now. 24 to feed the nation of Israel, to make sure to teach the laws and commandments, to teach you how to have a relationship with the Heavenly Father through Christ, through Yahushua, to teach you how to endure to the end, teach you the feast days, teach you everything about the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And try to have the ability to answer every question like you asking. You know what I mean? That was the Levites' job to the nation. Okay.
And these were people that knew they were Israelites, but they just could not prove that they were Levites. So it's very meticulous aspect of that tribe, and just goes to prove the point even more so that you got to know who you are. Otherwise, you can't partake in certain things.
God, all praises. So let's hammer it home. We read this about 2 times, maybe 3, but we're going to do it one more time, and we're going to drop down to 18. Numbers 1 and 18.
Numbers chapter 1 and verse 8.
I'll read it for you. You break it down.
Okay, that's
Then we
fine.
done. So at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, Numbers 1 and 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families.
Their pedigrees after their families, just who they came from, who they were begotten from. And the most important aspect of knowing who you're begotten from in your family is stated very next right now.
By the house of their fathers.
The house of their fathers, the man. The word is called patriarchy. In today's society, we have the alternative, which is matriarchy, that has made its way into American, just the New World Order society, where matriarchy is more so seen as equal or becoming above, which is the established norm of patriarchy, which is just about your fathers. It's about who, when it's concerning your family, it's about your fathers. That's Israelite culture.
According to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls.
Yeah, 20 years up, you're an adult. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You go based off your household, your genealogy, as the scriptures has many instances by the father. And we had beautiful precepts that prove that the kids, regardless of whether at one point in time in Israel that the parents were heathens, the kids would still be from Israelite men, Israelites.
And not only that, just to add one quick sidebar, our great grandfathers and things of that nature, people will be like, say back in the days, like 60 years ago, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, somebody wanted to take you as a wife. They'd be like, boy, who is his grandfather? Who is his people? Oh, Brother Johnson. Oh, he good folk. Oh, he not only is he an Israelite, but he good folk. You hear some names, some people have a bad name in Israel. So although you an Israelite, oh no, don't mess with them them Tuckers. You see what I'm saying? If it was the Johnsons grandson, then you can do. So, not only by lineage, but by help me out, Doc. You have to have a good name.
Your family name.
You see what I'm saying? You have to have a good name. And that's why they use that's what I love about True Nation. When people are courting and they trying to marry, like, look, the elders gonna tell you what's up. You like that brother, or that brother like this sister, or so, or he want to marry. Look, they gonna give you the whole spiel, the whole rundown. This brother faithful, he been here, whoopty whoop. He, see what I'm saying? So on and so forth. Oh, you know what? As much as you find that brother attractive and boom, he's not ready yet, sis. So those are the kind of things that we do as leadership to look out for the women and the men of our congregation. We're gonna read this. Yeah, read that.
Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches.
See? The Most High compared a good name to great riches. You see what I'm saying? And that's what you want to have in this walk. You want to have a good name. You don't want to have a stain on your name. Like, oh, man, that brother adulterer. Oh, that brother a fornicator. Oh, that brother, he ain't really committed. He just, you feel me? He don't really care about the nation. Oh, that sister, you know what? She got that divisive spirit. She coming in causing all kind of confusion, things of this nature. So I learned coming out of the world, when I came into this thing, like, dang, I got to have a good name. You see what I'm saying? And the Most High have allowed me to do that for the most part in the truth, which is the total opposite, because in the world I had a bad name. I had a bad name. You see what I'm saying? There were many things that people could call me in the world, but all praises to the Most High since I've repented and come into this thing and learned the laws and learned how I'm supposed to act. And I took on I'm a new man. You know what I'm saying? Old things are passed away, behold, all things are new right now. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm sure other brothers and sisters are. But nevertheless, we thank you for tuning in, Facebook. Hopefully the Most High has touched your spirits as his chosen elect. 12 tribes scattered abroad, specifically the elect. We love you. Thanks for tuning in to another Bible Basic class. Please tune in tomorrow. Same time, same place, 7:30. Subscribe, hit the bell, like, and most importantly, share. Before the broadcast goes out, share, and share again. All right, and with that, me and my brother, we're going to sign out and say shalom.
Shalom. World history tomorrow.